Welcome in, everybody. It is Recovery Drive. We're returning after a week off during the regular season. And of course, we take a week off for Recovery Drive as well. But we have so much to talk about tonight, and we have so many people to talk about it with. Joining me this evening, Mr. B. Fife, right over there to that side. If I can point the right way in the camera, he is back, and we're going to talk about his race at Imola. And down below, Mr. Retro Coffin, the hair itself is here. And not only is Retro's hair in charge, he's also wearing a kilt for various reasons we won't discuss, but it looks fantastic. Really, you guys should have seen it before the show. It was awesome. Joining us via audio, Mr. Matt Thompson from our Xbox League manager, and Philip for once, and I am so happy about this. Philip Milwee is here, my partner on streams on Sunday. He'll be back for the Hungara Ring this coming Sunday. We're going to be doing that together, but I am so fantastically happy that he is here and able to join us for Recovery Drive tonight, because he gives such good insights, and he's never able to join us because of work things, but because we had to postpone to Friday, he's able to join us tonight. So a great show coming up. Tell all your friends, tell your family, tell your friends, watch out, because they're doing stuff to everybody up in here. Bring it along. We're ready for Recovery Drive. So let's get it started right away. We're going to talk first about the last race. We're going to talk about Imola on the PCACC side. I want to discuss this because this race, I felt, and Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we saw a lot of differences with Imola than we did in other races previous in the season. And we're going to talk a little bit about Fife, right? A little bit of struggle there. But there were others too. There were other drivers who we saw who did not perform as strongly at Imola as they had previously in the season. Am I wrong about that?
No, it was definitely a tough race. I think Imola is it's one of the more popular tracks when it first released.
Mm-hmm.
People really loved it, but it is a very difficult track. It is very easy to lose mechanical grip in a number of places. The curbing is deceptive. I think we saw not Bruce Hopkins. We saw Bob Charlton spin at the same spot twice.
Yeah.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those tracks that
I feel like you could do a 30-lap race at Imola and probably go through the chicane 31 different times. Like 30 different ways, I don't know, it's such a tricky section to get right, and like Phil said, there's a few spots where the grip just all of a sudden bleeds away and you're like, oh no.
It is. Now, how do you, let's talk to Fife, Retro, and Phil, you as well. I don't know how much you've driven versus just watching the race. How much did the 1.9 update impact the curbs? Because we watched several drivers go through the second chicane where they just decided, you know what, I'm going to eat all the curb, and it did not work out well for them, where I feel like previously they maybe could have done that, right? Did Retro or Fife, did you guys see a difference there as to how much cut you could make across either chicane, but really that second one? Was there a big change there?
For me, I didn't use the same car in 1.8. I'm using a new car 1.9, so I don't know how much is down to the physics or it's just the Lambo in general, but the Lambo absolutely hated the curbs and the chicane.
Okay.
The car I used previously was the Audi, which really is a similar car on Xbox, and it seemed like it could handle them a little better, but I think it's the front rear cars I think can handle better than the mid-engine cars usually.
Gotcha. Okay, Retro, how about you?
The Porsche does. It definitely opened up the chicanes a little bit more, especially that first one. You used to avoid it a little bit more than 1.9, but then 1.9 came out and it's like, I'm just gonna keep 6 inches of tire on the track limits. You can just eat the whole section. Okay. And it doesn't care.
Yeah. I can tell you that did not work out for everybody the same way.
The chicane that I actually was surprised, and I don't think this is necessarily a 1.9 thing as much as it was just the kind of battles we were seeing and the kind of lines people were taking in the second chicane, the Villeneuve chicane. That was the one that had the most offs.
Mm-hmm.
by a lot. People would eat too much of the entry curb for the left-hander, and then they would just kind of like shoot off to the left side of the track.
Yeah, shoot off in each there.
Yep.
The thing that I actually feel like was the bigger story for one that's like 1.9 related with Imola was tire degradation. It definitely, like, going back and looking at the data after the race, you could see people's lap times starting to suffer. And I mean, the field is losing on an average of like 1 to 1.5 seconds of pace from the time they put on new shoes to the time they take them off.
Wow.
So that's big.
Yep.
That's big. And depending on when people were aiming for the overcut and the undercut, you know, it put some people in jeopardy in a few spots.
100%. See, this is why I love that Phil's here. He's a data hog. Like, he goes and looks at this stuff, and my eyes go crossed, and I just don't know what to take from it. But this is why I love that Phil's here tonight to talk about Imola.
It's because I'm a nerd. It's fine.
Hey, that's okay. That's fantastic. I love it. Are you kidding me? I am 100% here for it, and so are these guys. Before we get to the results and talk a little bit about the Imola results for each class, Matt, I did want to jump with you real fast in regards to the Xbox season and what's going on with the mixed class racing. How's that been going so far? Did we lose Matt? We might have lost Matt.
Might have. Somebody dropped off.
I'm still showing here.
I'm here. No, I'm
There he
here.
is.
Sorry, my mic
There
was
he
muted.
is.
So the racing has been going really well. It's been a little bit light on attendance for the summer here,
Mhm.
which we kind of expected. Actually, our last race had more GT4s than GT3s.
Oh, wow.
So that was nice to see that the GT4 class is still staying viable even through the summer here. Yeah, it's been going good. And then Xbox got the 1.9 update this week, during this last off week. So they got the 1.9 update, had a few minimal bugs that have now already been patched. So things seem to be ready for smooth sailing for this weekend. And
Okay.
by smooth sailing, I do mean a nearly flooded track for them this weekend.
Fantastic. Good for them. No, but I want to make sure that we remind everybody of the Xbox season that's running during this summer. These guys trying to put on some events to the goal being to line up season 7 with PC and Xbox, putting them together, same tracks, basically our full race weekends. Saturdays are Xbox, Sundays are PC, and have everything match up. So I think that's going to work out great. And I'm really happy you guys are running this kind of multi-class event, because I do feel like we have enough members of the Discord. I feel like we have enough drivers that at some point regular seasons should maybe become multi-class. I don't know. What do you guys think on the PC side? Like, do you think we draw enough to have GT3 and GT4 on track at the same time? And look, Phil got. I'm going to blame it on Phil. He got me hooked on multi-class racing with IMSA, and so I'm watching this in real life and going, this is like the amount of traffic that has to be dealt with because of the different speeds of the vehicles is just 100% fun to watch, right? Like, it adds a whole new layer to the racing. It's not just back markers, it's much slower cars, much slower class that you have to navigate and find the right point and in where to make that move to clear traffic and continue on your race. And I would love for us to jump on multi-class racing for our regular season. So Fife, Retro, Phil, Matt, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that's a good idea? I mean, chat is saying like Rob 4K is in 100%.
Yeah.
I personally, and I think even for Xbox, even though we don't have as many drivers, I think the viability is there.
Mhm.
People don't mind driving the GT4s, and if you give them the option, there's going to be people who would prefer it, I think.
Okay. All right. Fife.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Phil, go ahead.
The one thing that I'll caveat, like multi-class racing, especially when it comes to like leagues and stuff, it's tricky because one of the things that the Xbox series is dealing with right now is that you guys had like lesser participation inside the GT3 class. Like, you just don't want to have a situation where you have a particular format like collapse in demand, and then it just turns into a single spec series or a single class format.
True.
But the thing that I would urge anybody who's like watching at home to get excited about this and to get engaged with it is it gives you an opportunity to kind of like engage with different types of racing that we don't normally see inside leagues and in open lobbies in ACC. It's almost always one class. There's nothing to it. I would really like to see some of the pro class GT3 guys racing GT4s because there's less aero.
Yeah.
It's all down to mechanical grip. Very much almost a road car, other than having like race slicks and like an FIA homologated like fuel system. It's basically a road car. So I mean, it opens the door up to a completely different challenge. So that's what I would just like urge people at home to really get excited about something like that.
Excellent. I'm here for it. Fife Retro, what do you guys think? Do you guys would you guys like to run a multi-class series? And what would you run? Would you stick with GT3 or would you jump down to GT4s and take a run at it for a season?
As long as there's a 911 to drive, I'm driving a 911.
Oh my god, dude! With the flag and the kilt, I just can't handle the Porsche love. It's like
gonna happen.
It's so little
There's
and
a
nobody
Cayman.
cares.
It's gonna be a 911 thing.
Is it a Porsche kilt that he's wearing?
Possibly. We
Actually, you
don't
know
know.
what? Thank you. I have to get a Porsche patch to put on the kill.
Okay,
But,
okay. I was like, oh man. I was like,
but,
that's brand loyalty.
No, it's GT4s are good to race against. I mean, it creates a different like a little wild card of, getting to know where these cars are at and having driven with them on track before, what is a flat out corner on you for GT3, they lift and they might even break, and you have no clue that they're gonna do that. So it'd be interesting. It is definitely a lot less downforce. It'd be
I
fun to
think that's
watch.
where I think that's where having some sort of a group practice session as well
Yeah.
helps, where you can get used to having them on track and the different overtaking speeds and where it's going to be clear and where you might have to back off to be safe.
Yeah, it is as a GT3, like I 911, love 911, but if there's gonna be GT4s on track, I'm gonna put a couple laps in as a GT4, even on my own, just so that I know what they're gonna do. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't expect it.
A good call as well. Yeah.
100%. Fife, what
yeah,
about you? What do you think? Would you switch it up?
Yeah, I'd 100% go GT4s. I really like driving GT4s because they don't give a shit about curbs. You can just launch over curbs and they handle them perfectly fine. And yeah, it's just different. It's nice to not be on such a knife edge. You can get those things sideways, in an emergency situation, and they're so much more easy to recover. And then the Janetta sounds sweet, so
There you go.
have to run that one.
Which is
And
Phil's, I can tell you
I
it's
have
Phil's
a soft
favorite.
spot for the KTM.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
It's
what,
so slow, but it sounds so cool and it looks fun and it drives really fun, but it's second slower than the rest of them.
GT4s and that other sim out there that people don't like to talk about a lot. Some of the best racing that I've been into is GT4s. It's
Actually,
great.
some of the best multi-class racing I've been a part
Yeah.
of is in that
Yeah.
sim between
Mhm.
personally recently I've been driving the LMP3s versus the GT4s, and they're similar in pace to a GT3 car, so you get used to about where they're going to be.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting racing. It matters what circuits you're on as well. There's some circuits where it's tough to overtake with the same class and whatnot. So when you have that wild card factor, like you said, of having those slower cars and
Mhm.
say a track like Monza, that speed differential coming down into turn one there is it's vast, but at least it's a fairly wide track to make your way around them.
Yep. Absolutely. And Phil, I know you love the Janetta. That's your favorite. That's your shed car, right?
Yep, absolutely.
See? Phil will eat up a multi-class season, so let's not pretend that this maybe shouldn't be thought about. We're going to talk about it. I'm sure we can find some way to make that happen. But let's get back to Imola and let's talk a little bit about results and move on to that real quick. Now, I'm going to tell everybody tonight, no lie, these results that you are seeing on your screen for each class are provisional. However, my understanding is the only reason they're provisional is because of that GT3 wild card right there that you see on your screen. We're not going to talk about that class. These are drivers who can't make all the races, who just try and separate them out because they have different pace, everything else. They're not counted towards anything. So 100%. Yeah. Thank you, Phil. Dark mode on SimGrid. Would that not be fantastic? I have asked them. They have said we're trying to figure it out. I love the bright white screen that blinds me every time I go to SimGrid. But we're gonna move on.
Dark mode the world.
So ignore that wild card stuff because again, my understanding is penalties have been applied, everything's set. So the only reason this won't publish is because of the wild card category, and that is getting worked on with SimGrid right now. And we'll go from there. So let's talk about AM class. Bruce Hopkins taking up P1 at Imola ahead of Josh Rulin, Alex Martin finishing in third. Alex having a great race. I thought did a really good job this week. Michael Zwanenberg, Chris Finlay, Josh Butler, Terrell Seens Taylor, the Bosworth, and Austin Phelps not finishing. So 7 drivers in the AM class this week for a total of a ton of points. Bruce Hopkins, though, just racking it out. Had a 3/10 on his best lap and total time of what's that? 20. I'm sorry. I can't do math. 13 seconds over Josh Rulin. So did a really good job this week in the AM class. Let's go to Pro-Am real quick. We want to talk a little bit about Mr. Adam Willey. I know Adam had a little conversation with Phil before the start of this show, was not able to stick with us. Adam Willey qualified first and had a little bit of trouble at the start of this race. Felt bad for him, but what was his furthest down position? Phil, do you remember how far down he was?
Oh, I mean, it depending on the order that everybody kind of like came out relative to pit stops, whatever lap you were on, there was a point in time where he was probably close to stone last.
I want to say he was near the
there was
bottom
a point
of
near
that
the
list.
beginning that he was nearly last when we were looking through the footage for review purposes. And
Yeah.
And
there was some early pit stops that I guess the damage was bad enough they had to come in before the pit window, like Tomazik and Terrell Seens Taylor, I think, were 2 early casualties. But yeah, he dropped pretty far off. But like I got to talk to Adam before we got on the air, and I just had to compliment him because, man, he, even with a damaged Ferrari, he just had some really good pace at Imola. Like really, really outshined some of his other performances this season. It was very surprising.
Well, and that top qualifier too, like just fantastic.
Yeah, his best time was barely off of the best time of Zolotera for that extra point as well. So he definitely seems like he had the pace for sure there.
Yeah, 100%. So Ivan Zolotarev takes up first in the Pro-Am class. Your boy Blue gonna kill it in second this week. Stephen Music, Adam Willey, Edward Walsh, Stephen Thomas, DJ Stevens, Tristan Yonendike, Bob Charlton, and Nick Paquin round out the top 10. Kenny O'Connor dropping in there at number 11 with Mike Patrick and Daniel Vercosa not competing this week. So Pro-Am class, a good number of drivers still left. If we look, 11 participants this week. That's a good thing. Zolotarov just killing it. We're going to get to the overall standings here right after this. Let's look at silver class, and we got to talk about this one for a minute. John Gray taking first in the silver class this week in the AMR V8 Vantage, but Mr. Brandon Pfeiffer in the Lamborghini. Phil and I talked about it during the race. This Imola was not your track, sir. Oh, I can't hear you, Fife.
He muted himself.
There we go.
There you
go. Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that I was in second overall in silver because I think I finished like 8th or 9th overall. And normally the pros and silvers are kind of mixed up more than that. People have incidents, people make mistakes in the pits, that kind of thing, and we get intermingled. So Imola really separated the pros and the silvers, it looks like.
It did, but yeah. I want to say that, and again, Phil, I'm going to ask you to correct me if I'm wrong. We were very surprised watching the race. You seemed to struggle. Was Imola a struggle for you? Because it really seemed like you had some trouble not, and again, you finished second in class, so obviously a great performance. You were right there, and you said the last show that John Gray was your main competition in class. So this is obviously staying very equal for the season. But overall, it seemed like, you know, every time we found focus on you, it seemed like you were having a little bit of a struggle, whether it was with curbs through the chicanes or what have you. You just couldn't get the performance that we had seen previous in this season out of the Lamborghini.
Yeah, it was. I was making some small mistakes, you know, dropping tires in the dirt, going onto the, you know, front straight, which screws you over for the whole front straight, obviously. But even on the laps where I didn't drop a tire, it just felt like the Lambo really didn't have the power coming out of the corners. Compared to other cars, there'd be cars that I'd be 2-3 tenths behind trying to draft on the straight, and I wouldn't reel them in at all. So it felt like the Lambo struggled there, and then the chicane it really didn't like. But also I was making, just like I said, small mistakes throughout, you know, kicking the back end out too much and dropping tires and things like that. So I think it was just trying to make up for the lack of straight line speed and then overdoing it, and then just it kind of snowballed from there.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we have 2 races left. Fife, let's go. I mean,
look at Gray's lap time. Look at his best lap compared to mine.
I know.
Like he was on fire that
almost
race.
A full second ahead there. And a good bit ending at the end of the race. So but John Gray, Brandon Pfeiffer sitting right there in front of you in second. Matt Comiskey comes in third in the Ferrari 296. Terry Driscoll, Drew Burakovsky, Rob Kesar, Mike Burkhoff, Rocky Rocco, Justin Sacombe participating this week. Vadik, I will not say that last name, and Luis Ricard not participating, unfortunately. But there's your top 10 drivers for the silver class. Let's get over to pro real quick. Tom Foose banging one out in the BMW M4, just hammering down in pro class at Imola. Retro Coffin, my man, number 2, bringing it in the Porsche 992. Obviously you got to be happy with the results, but how do you feel about Imola overall, the race, how it went? I mean, I don't recall seeing, like, and this always sounds like a bad thing. I don't recall us focusing on you very much, but usually during race coverage, what that means is you're able to tool along, mind your business. You're having a good race, right? No incidents, no accidents, no hints and allegations, and you're able to just drive. So how do you feel overall about Imola?
I think the endurance layout that we had like really helped out. I did get tangled up on the first chicane with Booth. It was just like he squeezed me, I squeezed him kind of deal. So the hour and a half really gave us like an opportunity to really just like regain that back up. And you know, that BMW is just, it doesn't care about the curbs. Like if the Porsche does well, the BMW is like, nah, they're not here. It's just a track.
Nice.
So there's no way to catch them, but it was a fun track. I always enjoy him a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, and Tom Foose really ran out. I mean, again, you see the difference in the best lap and the total time right there. 4/10 for Tom Foose in that BMW M4. That man is a machine in that BMW. We've watched him run endurance races here at Box 3 for I don't want to say he joins every season, but he definitely hits every endurance, and Tom Foose is always a performer during those times. Retro Coffin in second, your man right there in the kill. Christoph Arts hits in third with the Ferrari 296. Tobias Gable able to pull out fourth this race with Jarrett Skinner, Timothy Glendinning, Rick Pixel, Dimitri Athwal, Charlie Booth, speaking of the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Australian that we all love, coming in ninth after getting tangled up. I think Charlie had a bad race at Imola.
He had to I think when we got tangled up, he went straight into the wall, and he said his wheel was locked 90, and the only way for him to fix it was to close the application.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Yeah, so it ruined his race.
It did. And that's a shame. I mean, he only got 5 laps in, but Charlie usually, again, one of our faster pro drivers. So we will see how he ends the season. And there you go. Those are the results for Imola. Personally, I think Imola is one of my, I don't know, favorite tracks not favorite, but I will say more fun tracks to drive. I like practicing there a lot. But coming up next, the penultimate race of season 6 is the Hungaroring.
Hungry Wings.
Yes, Hungry Wings. Let's talk a little bit about the Hungaroring. Phil, you know what, Phil, I'm going to go to you first because you're going to be covering it with me.
Yep.
What are you looking at the Hungaroring? Not just with the people who are on this, not just Fife and Retro that are here, but overall, how is the Hungaroring different than previous races? What are you looking for in each class that you think is going to happen because of the track itself?
I personally think Hungaroring is going to be tougher for everyone. I think it's going to be tougher than Imola was.
Okay.
It's another one of those tracks that is very like Imola is way more of a power circuit than people might realize. Hungaroring is not a power circuit. Hungaroring is like if you took away the walls from Monaco, like it's weird in that it's got these sections with like the S's in turn 6, turn 7 where that chicane where the curb is relatively flat, but every now and then somebody will just like RNG and spin there. I think sector 2 and sector 3 in particular are going to be spicy because traffic's brutal at Hungaroring. I really feel like there's a lot more opportunities to pass on track than most people give Hungaroring credit for. But yeah, I do feel like it's going to be a tougher customer than Imola was for the field, for sure.
Okay. And I will say, I think, in previous league races that we've had at the Hungaroring, to your point, sector 2 and 3 seem to be where things pick up a little bit for folks. They seem to push a little harder and look for gaps a little more than in sector 1, right? So,
and I'm also looking forward to see how turn 1 works out for the field because it is historically very easy to go bowling at turn 1. So it'll be interesting. It's got a very wide entry.
Yeah.
And it pinches down for that little kink before you hit turn 2. So yeah, we'll see.
The run to turn 2 as well can get a little bit spicy when you get people going side by side coming out of turn 1, and either line gets you a fairly decent run down to turn 2, but that braking zone in turn 2 is pretty critical.
Well, the other bit about like a lot of the corners at Hungaroring that can also catch people out is the camber. Like turn 2 is off camber. So like once you pass the apex, the corner falls away from you. So if you're on the inside and you're really trying to push it and be like greatest of the late breakers right there, you could very well just understeer straight off the track or into another car. Because again, that off camber nature of turn 2 is pretty tricky. And then I'm waiting to see if anybody's got the stones to try and throw it side by side into either turn 3 or turn 4.
Turn 4 is not the place.
The chicane kink.
Do we have to stay in track
Turn
limits when we
3
do this? Because
turn 3 is easier than turn 4.
I was going to say, I do not want to see it side by side in turn 4.
Though, no.
No,
we can
I
go
don't
side
want
by
to see
side.
that.
I'm just not
It's
staying in
gonna happen,
track
but
limits.
yeah, somebody's not staying on the
Yeah.
track on the exit. That's the big deal there.
It's not going to help either of your races to try to go side by side through turn 4.
No.
Oh, I know.
Even if you don't
I know.
collide.
But it's gonna be who's willing to relent, the guy on the
So-
inside or the guy on the outside.
So like Hungry Wings is it's one of those, it has plenty of overtaking opportunity. It's just one of those things that you have to be patient to get there. Because if you send it side by side into T3, T4, you have to have a really good overlap to make it stick. Otherwise, you're just risking your race, and is it worth it when you can just wait 2 or 3 corners and then you'll have a really good braking point that you can just do the overtake there. So so what are
that's what I
you
was gonna
willing to
say.
risk?
That's what I was going to say. Is it seems like Hungaroring, most of the passing opportunities are about setting yourself up to be able to outbrake the car in front of you, getting a good exit, the corner behind, and getting right up next to them to be able to outbrake them on the inside, versus having a lot of straights to pass people on.
Yeah.
But it's tricky because you try to pass people on a braking and you mistime it, and then you're pushing both you guys wide. So you have to be precise about it.
So the trick is you drive a Porsche, and then when you get to the braking
Oh,
point, you
Jesus.
crank your brake bias all the way down to just about the car's just gonna start like wiggling when you hit on the brakes, and then you wait until they brake, and then you brake after them, and then you're good. And you just repeat, make money. That's it.
So if I see you
Oh.
behind me, I just need to make sure to stay in the middle of the track so you can't do that.
So what I'm hearing though is that Retro's going to win class this week.
I hope.
He sounds confident.
I mean,
It's
P1
a good
class.
track for the
It's-
Porsche.
It's one of my favorite tracks. The 992 is definitely not better. It doesn't feel as good as the 991.
I'm about 4 seconds slower than I was in the 991 with 1.8 at Hungaroring. I tried it
You
out
can
the other day, and
definitely
I was like,
feel
nope,
it.
I'm gonna be a traffic jam, so I'll stick
Yeah.
out this weekend.
We're not going to talk about how the 992 and the 1.2 are different in performance, but there's some issues in the car right now.
I think tire degradation is also going to catch people out here.
Mhm.
Again, it's another technical track. There's not a lot of really high speed corners to speak of. So it's going to be down to mechanical grip, getting the
Especially
job
if it's
done.
hot. If you lose that rear end a couple times and those rear tires start to overheat, that's real hard to get them back again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
think
And then at that
Hungaroring
point,
is. No, go ahead, Fife.
I was going to say at that point too, once your tires start going out, turn 3 and turn 4 are pretty easy to run off and get track warnings for too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
drive-through
that'll also come into
penalties
play.
are also going to be something to watch out for sure.
I think that's something we saw at the last time we had a league race at the Hungaroring where there were more drive-throughs than we saw. To me, the Hungaroring is not one of those tracks where there isn't a long. There are no super long straights, right? There aren't straights like at Imola. You have several straights. If we talk about just the previous track, just the one we just raced a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Hungaroring doesn't have a lot of really long straights. I mean, you have the start-finish straight, which is lets you really get up to speed. But is correct
Next one,
again.
this
And
is
you guys tell me if
between
I'm
3
wrong,
and
but
4,
I don't.
think.
Yeah, like there's really nowhere you get up to really hammer down full speed, throwing it, except that start-finish straight running downhill into T1.
Well,
and so
It'll
it's a
be
very
about fifth gear
technical
going
track.
into T4 as well, but it's
Yeah,
not going to be as fast as.
But the
you would
point being is
expect.
it's a much more technical track. You've got to hold those lines. And if you're offline, again, where are those track limits going to bite you? Specifically 3 and 4, where we've seen guys go side by side.
And also, I think, is it 9? The one at the end
it's
there
on the
before you
back.
go down the hill?
Mhm.
The one before you go down the hill and the one at the bottom of the hill there, the second to last turn, I think, or the third to last turn, I guess. Those ones are both easy to get a little bit too far out as well.
Yeah, I mean 9, 11, and 12, basically.
11 catches
Yeah.
people
11,
out a lot.
And the reason why 12 can catch people out too is because 12 is like the last good passing opportunity on the track.
I'm telling you,
Sector
jump
2.
if you jump them curbs, you ain't got to worry about track limits.
And sector 2, 3, so many of those corners are like dependent on you getting a good line out of the previous corner too. So if you mess up your line at one corner, it's throwing off your entire flow for the next.
Your
So you
rhythm
pay.
for the whole rest of the sector is off. Yeah.
Yep, you're thrown off quite a bit.
So an opportunity to give some free advice about watching really good passing in sectors 2 and 3. If you can't get the move done, but you feel like you've got your car far enough alongside, don't worry about outbraking the guy next to you. Just try and compromise the inside line for them as much as possible, because if they pinch too hard on corner exit, you've got nothing but the outside of the track. You can just straighten out, open the steering up, drive away. Areas where like T8, T9, I feel like are interesting opportunities. But yeah, I feel like Hungaroring offers a lot more opportunities than people realize. It's not going to be the typical, I'm just going to outbrake you into this corner and then take the inside line.
Yeah.
You gotta pass with your head, not with your left foot.
There you go. So again, the penultimate race of season 6, Hungaroring. Coming up after that, 1 week later, Spa for an endurance race, 1 hour AM and Pro Am, 90 minutes of silver and pro driving. I cannot wait for Spa. This season is coming to a head very quickly. We will on the last race of the season have a special guest with us during the stream. I have already spoken to Mr. Kevin Huffman, one of our admins, and we will have a guest with us. And don't forget, we will be doing the giveaways for this season of Next Level Racing's haptic feedback. We got a custom dashboard from guys over at Jesus, I can't even think right now. And that's why we're going to jump to standings, because Retro pushed me too hard. I drank a little too much, so that's okay. So let's get over to standings. Let's get over to standings right now and talk a little bit about the over. Now, again, these are, as you can see, there's a note there. These are provisional standings because Imola has not been posted. We talked about that earlier. There's a thing with the wild cards. They're getting it worked out with SimGrid. It's no big deal. These should be accurate because penalties have already been accounted for. So about M class. Michael Zwanenberg in for all 5 rounds so far. Chris Finlay, Josh Rulin, Bruce Hopkins, and Josh Butler in the top 5 right there in AM class. But these points are not that far apart, man. Chris Finlay, Josh Rulin only separated by 3 points. Even Bruce Hopkins down at 203 can easily make that up in the last 2 races if he shows up.
You calculate just the drop round alone,
Yeah.
and Bruce Hopkins is in the lead.
Bruce is
Yeah.
Bruce is
Bruce
gonna
is in
have
the
to win
lead.
that day.
Saying,
You can't beat undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every race he shows up for, he is in first place. So
That's
it's just insane. Look at the man.
Smells like a bump.
This guy's going Pro
he's
Am
about
next
ready
season.
for Pro Am.
Yeah, he is. Let's talk about it.
It's still the same
Yep.
class of guys he's going to be racing against in general, so he should adjust fairly well.
100%. Alex Martin in 6th, David Collins, the Bosworth, Frank Reynolds, and Jester Floomp round out the top 10. We'll see how many of these guys participate here at the end of the season. Don't forget those prize giveaways. You do have to participate in at least 5 races during the course of this season, so we will see how that works out. GT3 Pro Am class. Ivan Zolotarov with 3 first-place finishes and a podium in round 3. Gonna be a little hard to catch if he continues to show out in that Porsche 992, the number 555 car. Just killing it over Bob Charlton, Steven Music, Edward Walsh, and Adam Willey still sitting in 5th right now with a 4th place finish last week. 3 4th place finish for Willey, man. Like, dude is so close.
Consistency.
He's
there.
He's there to push the podium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just
So like race 3 and race 4 will just I don't remember exactly, but we'll call them outliers because he's got 3 4s. It's like he's right there.
He is.
I mean,
Charlton and Music are tied too, second and 3rd place.
That's what I was gonna say. Like Zolotarov running away a little bit right now, but Charlton and Music are tied. Walsh and Willey are only back 3 and 4 points respectively. There's a huge toss-up for 2nd and 3rd in this class for the season. With 2 races left.
You calculate the drop rounds for these guys, and Charlton Music, Walsh and Willey are much close. Are like that standing order is not at all reflective of what reality is right now. But with 2 races left, we'll see how it shakes out. But Ed Walsh and Adam Willey are actually in pretty good positions right now.
I'll tell you what, Charlton can't afford to drop another bad race. He's already got an 11 and a 9 in there.
And Imola was tragic, but he's been a solid podium finisher for a good chunk of the season, for over half the season. So I'm interested to see what he can do. I feel like I'm interested to see what the 296 can do at Hungaroring in particular. I feel like it's a car that's going to be better suited for that track than it was maybe for Imola.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I'm kind of interested to see how the 296s behave. The McLaren, Walsh has been pretty stellar in that car. I'm looking forward to seeing what Walsh can do at Hungaroring. I really want to see that McLaren up a little bit higher.
Let's go. Okay. Tristan Yonendike, DJ Stevens, Kenny O'Connor, Steven Tomazik, and your boy Blue. Blue still sitting in 10th. It's I mean, look, he missed one round, okay?
Mhm.
It's I think with Blue, it's a consistency thing, right? A 5th and a 10th place finish. He's got 2 podium finishes on the season. He's just got to put a little more time with his butt in the seat of that M4. Is that what it is?
Hold on, I'm taking a look.
I just because again, 2nd last week at Imola, like really did a great job. But that 5 and that 10 are not at all helping him.
I think
Even a fifth isn't a terrible result either. If you want to be,
it's not. But I'm just saying, I'm saying compared to the second and third,
and having a drop round for having missed a round are both going to hurt him in the overall for sure. But I agree, the consistency.
So he's got that.
Oh my God, Retro!
What?
My wife just brought me a brownie that she made. She had peanut butter. It's fantastic.
We can hear it
now.
It's just oh my God, it's just
That's
fantastic.
soundtrack.
Walnuts too.
No, there's no walnuts. It's just oh my God, it's so good.
Oh.
Go ahead, Retro. What were you saying, man? I apologize.
I was just gonna say his 10th place finish was at Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of it was raining and
he had had some incidents. He got taken out.
Yeah.
He got wrapped up in some stuff in the rain there.
He also forgot to put the right tires on at Valencia.
That's the other. He ran his whole second stint on slick. So to his credit, he ran fairly decent times considering he didn't go back in to change him. I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just stayed out on the slick. So
he just decided he was going to suffer it. But it was.
I got a brownie too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The thing about Blue is it's for me it's just the race that he missed that's going to be like the big problem. But I think that Blue has done a phenomenal job in the M4.
I'm fairly impressed with his Imola results because from what I see Blue here fairly regularly, so I can tell when he's grinding on a track and when he's not necessarily. Unless he did it in private, he didn't spend as much time at Imola as he did at, say, Suzuka earlier on in the season. So it's a really good result from him.
Very good. Well, let's move on to Silver Class. Mr. Brandon Pfeiffer himself, sitting right there on your screen in first. Two wins and a total of 4 podiums this season. Fife, how do you feel about Hungaroring? Even with that, you're only 2 points ahead of John Gray. Terry Driscoll right there in third. Again, sitting about 20 points back, but still very, very close given how the points run. How are you feeling about this season, man? Do you think you're going to take this championship for the whole season?
I think it's going to come down to Spa. I think it sounds like from the Season 6 discussion thread, it sounds like Gray's having a little bit of trouble with the Aston at Hungaroring. And by a little bit of trouble, I mean, he's a few tenths behind me instead of a second ahead of me. So it might be a reverse of how Imola was, where, he was kind of leaving me in the dust. And then it might just end up coming down to Spa.
Okay.
Really, which I feel like I'm pretty good at Spa, but they're not the fastest, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens there.
I feel like the Lambo will be better suited for Spa as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's close between you guys.
I love it. This is fantastic. Seeing how close this is
drop
coming.
round.
Yeah, and whoever gets it will deserve it. I mean, his pace is really, really fast. So
I'm sorry,
Porsche
Retro,
is
I'm eating
quick
my brownie.
as Spa. The Porsche is a pain in Spa. Let me tell you. The problem there are problems with the 992 in tire wear and how to make it quick and your tires last. It is not quick. It is not. Thank you.
Palmetry is still
Palmetry's
still talking.
that.
Yeah.
I love it, Booth.
Yeah.
Keep harassing him.
Oh, he drives a Porsche too.
I know.
It's got issues. Tire wear is a concern right now. You can't take advantage of the benefits of the 992 because you're always making up for the downsides, which mostly is tire wear. But we'll see. I know a lot of people are going to revert to the 1.2 Porsche next season or in their following races. So we'll see how that goes.
That's crazy.
Retro is in for it.
Can we pause for a minute?
is.
That is kind of nuts.
It is.
That
The old Porsche is in fact faster than the new Porsche, if you can drive it well.
That to me is like if Eris were listening to this stream right now, I know he'd probably be having a coronary, but he should take stock, because it's like, again, it's like we've seen instances where they have gotten it wrong with a car on introduction and it's way too powerful. I think with the introduction of the 992, they need to take another look at it. It behaves very differently from the 991 Mark II, and it's not very popular from people that are are Porsche fans.
Nope.
Now, if I remember, didn't it come out and it was a bit better at the beginning, and then it got whacked a little bit early on as well?
I mean, it didn't need to get whacked. That's the thing.
Yeah, it was. There's like it brakes worse than the old Porsche. It doesn't change direction as the old Porsche. It has more tire wear than the old Porsche. The cornering speed is slower than the old Porsche. The top speed can be slower than the old Porsche. And all things combined, I mean, I'm here for the pain. I'm gonna pay my time.
Yes, he's gonna rock you like a hurricane.
I'm going to pay for the pain.
Wow.
So that when it gets better, then I'll be like, all right, I served my time.
So what you're saying, Retro, if I'm understanding right, is that Porsche sucks a little bit?
You sir, I will find you.
It just seemed to me like that's what you were saying. It doesn't brake as well. It doesn't have as high a top speed. It doesn't have this. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do that. Sounds to me like you're saying it sucks. I'm
a subpar Porsche is still better than like 95% of the grid. The 5% is the 1.2.
Wow. Just saying, I don't see a Porsche at the top of any of these standings as of yet.
I love it.
Fife is in the Lamborghini.
Harassing. So. I love it. Keep going, Booth. I love it.
Awesome. So Fife, John Gray fighting for the top of the leaderboard in silver class. 2 points separating them. Harry Driscoll in third. Drew Burakovsky in fourth. Vadik, I will not say the last name, in the Bentley in P5. Jace Wright missing the last race, but still in P6. Mike Burkhoff, Matt Comiskey, Rob Keesar, and Louis Ricard round out the top 10 in silver. Let's talk about Pro real quick, and then we're going to move on and finish this out for the night, because it is just crazy with people, Porsche fans like Mr. Retro Coffin, just driving us crazy with all this stuff. And I think Fife said he has to leave us at 9 o'clock, so we're going to try to finish it out in the next 10 minutes. Tobias Gable now provisionally in first place of Pro standings with a fourth place finish at Imola. I love to see this because, again, I think I've mentioned it before. I have watched Tobias Gable drive since Xbox on a former league. Fife, you were there, and now this cat is rocking P1 on PC in the Pro League at Box3 Motorsports. Really great to see him take that Audi to number one, and not just because it's an Audi and I'm an Audi fan, but because it's Tobias. I love watching this guy drive, and right now ahead by 3 points over Charlie Booth in the Porsche, obviously with a bad turnout last week, P9. Christoph Arts, however, and here's the thing, 3 points between Tobias Gable, Charlie Booth. 1 point between Charlie Booth and Christoph Arts. And 7 points between Arts and Athwal? And 2 points back to Jarrett Skinner. The top 5 is just ridiculous in this pro class for the end of this season with 2 races left. This is going to get crazy.
And you know what? Once you get that drop round in, all those points are going to come down.
Yeah, you start figuring in the drop rounds for some of those, and it gets up there too. That starts getting turned around a bit. That's
It
It's
does,
going to be a very compelling battle again this season, just like it was last year, right to the end, I think.
which is why I hate drop rounds. I despise them, but I get why they exist. It just drives me nuts.
The
But
other
that
thing is the
said,
drop rounds make it a little bit of an unsurety going into that final round as
it
well, because
does.
you really don't know until the end. Even
Exactly.
if somebody has a good race at the finals, you're not really sure how it's going to work out until everybody crosses the line at the end.
100%. But yeah, really tight in the pro class. Tom Foose, Anthony Anderson. Anderson with a do not start in the last round. Obviously has had a great season. 2 first place finishes. Did not make the last race. I would love to see Anderson at the top of this list, but it's not going to happen. The Retro Coffin in P8 right now. Where do you want to land yourself for the end of the season, Coffin?
I wanted to get into that top 10. Top 5 would be nice.
Okay.
I had that drop round for the Indy 500, so I'm happy where I'm at. We'll just keep pushing and see what happens. I love Hungary, hate Spa. Hate
Oh,
Spa.
okay.
So we'll see.
Just make sure make sure you say hi to your wife for me, because I know she is a fan.
Oh,
Make sure
say hi.
she knows I said hello.
Poke your hand.
There you go.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much, Mrs. Retro.
Don't wait. We don't need you to wave at us. You're here.
I know she's a fan of the show, so it's fantastic to see her dropping in.
she's
What
watching.
did she bring you? Is that the rum?
Yeah, that is Kraken.
There you go. Let's go with a little Kraken tonight. So, point of this is, listen, if you are not watching the last 2 races while not participating, right? You're making a mistake, because these points are so tight across every class. Fife's in the fight of his life. If we go back to that silver class, him and John Gray are just going to beat each other up for these next 2 races. Look at 2 points. 2 points with 2 races left. That's unbelievable. I can't wait to watch this stuff. So you can count on Phil and I to be here this Sunday for the Hungaroring, next Sunday for Spa Endurance to finish out the season. I can't wait for this, because it's literally going to come down right to the end of this season. Not to mention that we will be giving out those great giveaways from our sponsors, and it's just going to be fantastic. So let's finish out with this before we go to the rig roast, because that's only going to take a moment anyway, because there's only one, because you guys won't share your rigs. Fife, what are you looking for?
I don't have any zip ties. I want to get roasted.
Yeah. Fife, what are you looking for at Hungaroring?
To not have a disaster race.
Okay.
Really.
Well, let me ask you this: do you feel Hungaroring is stronger for you than Imola? Because again, we talked about how you struggled at Imola, placed great in class, but further back in the overall than we typically see you. Do you feel like Hungaroring is a little bit stronger track for you, that you can bump it up a little bit?
I really don't know. I'm just gonna have to see the pace of people, because Imola is kind of a track that I wouldn't say is a bad track for me, but isn't a great track for me either. And I feel like Hungaroring's kind of the same way. But based on the lap times Gray said he's been doing, I think I have more of a chance of doing well in silver. But it could be all the pros again are ahead of me. So it'll be interesting.
Excellent. What about you, Retro?
Not die.
Oh, there you go. Don't die. And Retro, what about you?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to jumping curbs and making brake bias adjustments. Just going deep into corners. Where do you want to brake? There? Okay, cool. I'll wait.
Excellent. Phil, let me ask you, as the resident data nerd, what are you looking for at a Hungaroring? As you and I sit on Sunday to watch this race, what are your expectations?
I'm looking to see who's put in the time on track and has figured out how to minimize tire degradation. Because I feel like a track like Hungaroring, if you are losing upwards of like a second and a half in lap times from the time you slot the tires on, you're really leaving a lot of time on the table. And the other thing that I'm looking for is pit stop performance, because there have been a number of people who have jeopardized their races or put themselves close to jeopardizing their races with botched pit stops this season. So
100%.
it'll be interesting to see. That part I think is going to be key. I think there's probably going to be more passing in the pits probably this race than we saw in Imola. But that's kind of what I'm looking for.
And you and I have talked about this during the races. The pit stop is key, and I don't know how many drivers. I don't know how many drivers really understand that, right? When there's that 2 to 3 second gap on track, and suddenly pit stops start happening, man, it can suddenly become a 0.3 second gap, or it could be a change of position. We've seen that several times this season, and that's your call. You've called that every time, watching the data.
It's kind of like if we were talking before about like the drama around the drop round, going to the last round of the season and stuff like that. Things are just kind of up in the air. For me, I feel like most people realize that I've got to have a good pit stop or I'm going to lose time. I think that's just kind of like a given. But people really don't know. They really don't feel how good or how bad it is until it's over. And then it's like, well, I just sacrificed 4 or 5 seconds with a botched pit stop because I didn't go straight up on the jacks or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that you don't know until it's over. But the only way that you're going to prepare yourself is if you're going in there and practicing those pit stops.
Yep, 100%. So we will wait and see, but Hungaroring comes up this week. Now, again, the penultimate race, Hungaroring this Sunday. Please join us as Retro sips that awesome rum. The man, the myth, the legend himself, the hair of Retro Coffin will be driving the car on Sunday. Weird Al Rambo right there, folks. If you don't know, you don't know, but you should know. That is 100% Weird Al Rambo. We then next Sunday going to be joined by a special guest from SimTrack USA during the course of the stream to talk about the racing, talk about everything that's been going on. The owner and CEO of SimTrack USA will be joining us during the stream, and we will be giving away not only that custom dashboard from SimTrack, but also a Next Level Racing HF8 Hotel Foxtrot 8 haptic feedback system, if you need to look that up during the course at the end, or I should say at the end of that stream. I will have all the people involved. We'll spin up a random number generator for whatever we got, and we will pick the winner for those. So I think season 6 has gone wonderfully. Season 7 is already in the planning, starting, I believe, end of August, beginning of September, somewhere right around in there. So there'll be a couple special events in there somewhere, but other than that, we will be starting season 7 off. And as Matt jumping in there, Xbox will be kicking off the same time with season 7. So it's going to be great. Always something to do.
The Friday Night iRacing League that we're going to be doing starting in 2 weeks as well.
I had that up there. What is going on? So the the F1600, right?
Yep, the FF1600. So It's a free base content car. All except for one track is free base content. So anybody who's currently got an iRacing subscription, feel free to join us Friday night. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely,
really
we'll start
cool cars to drive wheel to wheel together.
I was gonna say I've only driven the FF1600 a couple times, but it is a lot of it is a very fun car to drive.
Think
and
Formula
I try to
V,
jump
but
in
with
there.
a manageable transmission, basically.
Oh, stop
so
it with the Formula V hate. You guys just whatever.
No, I like
you
Formula
just can't
V.
figure it out.
1600 has similar driving characteristics, but a better sequential transmission. So
Chief Blaze in chat right now. I can tell you right now, he is absolutely the biggest fan of the Formula V in iRacing. It is unbelievable. He loves it. It's the Formula V is like his favorite car.
You don't get pushed to pass on ovals. Well,
Unbelievable. So iRacing season kicking off, season 6 coming to a head, season 7 Xbox and PC coming up. There is always something going on at Box3 Motorsports. And before let's finish this out for the night, because again, I know Fife has to take off real quick. Let's jump over to Rig Roast and Review. There is only one from S. Robinson this week. I can't tell what Logitech. I can't tell what Logitech this wheel set this is.
So it's going to be the G 920 or the 920.
Or the 29.
The 29. No, well, it wouldn't be
It's
the
not
29.
It's not a
It's
29 because it doesn't have the
923 or
rating.
920.
It's the 920 or the 923 is the new one with the True Force.
Okay, there you go. Xbox Series S sitting up there. You can see on the shelf. But that is from S. Robinson. The only thing to me on this is, and I had the same problem when I raced on Xbox, is the mounting of the TV is a little. Is it me or is that a little high? Like, would that be hard to drive? Right.
Yeah.
It also looks like it's not centered.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
the
it's
part
the
I was going to
camera.
say. Forget the
Maybe.
height. It's like
Also,
centering is a little bit more key. Yeah.
it's going to be awesome with left-hand turns.
I'm not really sure, but like with our photography technology and stuff, I assume that the picture in the upper, like right next to the TV, it's either his parents or grandparents, maybe. So like no pressure, your whole family's looking down on you. Like just
as you drive.
Every time you mess up, you just look up and then there's your, parents or grandparents just looking at you like, great.
Wow. Retro's
My
hitting him
ancestors
hard.
are judging me.
You broke too early. What are you doing?
you have been judged by the family patriarch and matriarch. Drive better.
My
Or
biggest thing with that setup is the wheelchair, and knowing how the Logitech brake pedals work specifically.
Mhm.
I can only imagine that every time he gets on the brakes, he's got to be like using as much ab muscle as he's got to keep himself in place there, pulling on the steering wheel, bringing himself back in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe he's got some wheel chucks or something like that he uses during races.
Can we talk about the reading material to his right?
Well, that looks like a little kid. Like that looks like something for a kid, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
Just get some light reading in between sessions.
You and I were
that's how you keep your kids. That's how you keep your kids entertained while you're racing. You just give them something that makes noise.
Yeah, give them a book.
Here you go.
So
I do like the wind simulator in the right.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing. I love it when people invest in like wind simulators and stuff like that. And I'm just like, why don't you just use a fan?
Like a fan up.
And there you go.
What are you doing?
And also, I feel like wind simulators in GT cars are a bit overkill because generally
you have a windshield.
A lot of airflow coming through that car.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, you guys are awesome. So to everyone watching, and to everyone watching now and after the fact, either here on Twitch or on YouTube, will you please start sharing your rigs? Like literally 1,500 members on the Discord plus, and nobody's sharing their rigs. Put them up. We've shared ours. Fife has shared his. I've shared mine. Retro. It's all.
I'll do mine this week.
There you go. Set yours up, Matt. And Retro, we've done his. It's like all Porsche, whatever, jerk off material. It's fine.
Actually,
with no wire management whatsoever. It's
Retro posted a
insane.
beautiful cockpit of somebody else that he found this week. With all the Porsche boxes and it's insane.
Saw that.
It's beautiful.
But it's not his. His is all spaghetti and garbage underneath, and like
Porsche what you do is you get everything to look good for that one photo. You get all the lighting right. Don't worry, just get all the cables out of the shot. You just take a picture of the shot. Looks great. Nobody knows better.
That's it. That's it.
I've got the Fanatec wireless set up.
Yeah.
That's the secret. You just unplug. You just unplug everything.
Unplug all the wires. Yep. There you go. We got Max Charb in the chat. He could share his. We got Red Rider in the chat who could share his Tarkov setup, I guess. Whatever. I don't know what he does anymore except shoot people on Tarkov or get shot on Tarkov. Chief Blaze, we could do his. All these guys in chat could be shared. Well, Phil, why haven't we seen your rig?
I've just set his up too.
I'm gonna say that there's gonna be some Mountain Dew around it.
Around my rig? No.
Yeah.
No.
There's no Mountain Dew.
That's Willie.
Willie levels.
My rig is sad right now because I haven't used it probably since Nürburgring 24. I've not actually sat down in it. So
that's a little less than me. So I feel you.
Willie's is more of a Mountain Dew setup with a side of sim rig. Versus the other way around.
True.
Well, listen, Fife, we can't all have enough room in our apartments for custom shelves for single steering wheels per shelf right down behind us. So
Not only that, I
Makes
got
me
little
jealous.
stands for him too.
little
That's-
stands
that's-
for them,
those are
and
nice.
Look at
see,
that.
this is what I'm
Look at
saying.
that.
Are those new?
It's pretty
That's-
sweet.
Like I
That's
literally have
quiet
enough room in
flex.
my house for a bookshelf, and only put one steering wheel per shelf. Retro, don't you wish you had such problems?
Yeah, no, it's the quiet flex. You know, he sits there, he's just looking at it. While your peasants are all talking about all this stuff, I have one wheel per shelf, and they have stands.
I have one
The
wheel.
bottom shelf doesn't have anything right now. Now that I went all sim magic.
Well, he'll get one. Don't worry about it. All right, folks, let's close this out for this week. Again, we are back. Matt, are you? Is there a stream this Saturday for Xbox?
No stream. There is a race at
No stream.
Nürburgring.
Okay,
I'm going to be streaming the finals at Bathurst.
excellent. Oh,
Off the top of
Bathurst.
my
That one's gonna be a good
I
one.
think it's the first week. I think it's the first weekend of August. I don't remember the exact date. off the top of my
Excellent.
head.
That will be fantastic. So, Xbox Racing, if you're an Xbox driver, please hit up Box Motorsports. Come join the Discord. Exclamation box in the chat to get that address. Get over and join the Discord for Xbox Racing. But this Sunday, myself, Mr. Phil Milwee, will be online, ready to go for, again, the penultimate round of Season 6 of PC ACC at the Hungaroring. Just getting set up and ready for the prep of Spa endurance racing the week after. Anybody else have anything else to close us out with?
No, I'm good.
You good? You got your kilt, you got your rum, you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, kill rum. I mean, I'm ready to throw some practice laps into Hungry Wings after this, and we'll
Let's
call
go.
it a day. I mean, they might not be good because
I love
Just practice the pit stop.
listen.
Just stick to that.
Listen, I love Hungry Wings. That is on par with Spa Franken Chips from my good friend DT Bubs. And we will talk all about Spa Franken Chips after next week as we roll
Sounds like
up to
quite
it.
the smorgasbord of
It
season. there.
is Hungry Wings, and Spa Franken Chips to finish out the season. This is going to be
I
fantastic.
like it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank Fife. I want to thank Retro. I want to thank Phil. I want to thank Matt. You guys joined him for this week. It's always fun to get together on a Thursday or Friday in this case, because I had a work emergency last night. It's always fun to get together, talk about this stuff. And I love hanging out with you guys and having this much fun. So with that said, everyone have yourselves a wonderful weekend. You got a great Saturday, Sunday coming up. Thank you all so much for joining us. And on Sunday, we will be here for Hungry Wings, according to Retro Coffin. And we will have a lot of fun. Join myself and Mr. Phil Milwee as we bring you all the racing action on Sunday starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Is it daylight time or standard time? Daylight time right now.
Daylight
Eastern,
time.
yeah, Eastern, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Please join us here for that. And everybody have yourselves a great week and weekend until then. And we will talk to you very soon. Good night, folks.